Dude, I don't know what happened. I thought winter was over, but apparently I am very wrong. I don't know, what is it, like the groundhog? Didn't he see a shadow or not see a shadow? I don't. I mean, who knows? I never believed that whole thing, but I don't know. Just the way the weather's been, I totally thought that it was over, and that we were on our way to spring. But no, it's gonna be like 8 inches of snow here in New York today. You can see we've already gotten quite a bit. Quite a bit has already come out, and quite a bit is currently falling. I gotta go and I gotta go take the snow off the greenhouse over there. Make sure that it doesn't, collapse it or anything like that. But it's snowing. I've been trying to keep the shoveling workload to not a minimum, but like as easy as possible. So I've already shoveled twice today, actually. The benefit being that when the 8 inches fall, I mean 8 inches, is like that's a lot of snow. That's 8 inches. I mean that's the size of my head. So like that's a good amount of snow. So having to shovel that whole, I mean I have a snowblower, thank God, from my dad. So I could use a snowblower, and usually I would. But I've been in this new like kick lately of like I would call it productive exercise, where I've been like thinking about like just history and like the gyms, and going to the gym is like a new thing. Like you ask anybody of my grandparents' generation, none of them ever went to the gym. But their lives were so much more active, and their food was a lot healthier. Like so they didn't even necessarily quote unquote need to, because they weren't, overweight because of the food that we were eating, the processed garbage. So I'm like, if I have a more of a whole food style diet, like eating like whole foods, not the store, but like the style of food, and have an active lifestyle, like digging up things in the garden and carrying dirt and this and that and chopping wood and shoveling snow, then I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But that being said, I actually might use the shovel today. I also got the beginnings of a sourdough starting in the oven right now. It's proofing. I mixed the dough earlier. Then you gotta let it sit for an hour. Then you fold the dough. Then sit for 15 minutes. Then fold that dough. Then let it sit for 3 to 4 hours. And then fold it one more time. And then let it sit for 90 minutes. And then bake it. So like I said earlier, I have to go out into the tundra. No, I wouldn't call it that. But I do need to go out there and brush off some of the snow off of the greenhouse so it doesn't collapse the greenhouse. Might as well make a path. All right, so update on what happened outside. It's funny, man. I went outside. I saw it at like 9 o'clock, 9:15. It was totally fine. I go out there at 11 o'clock. It had collapsed. Was able to scrape all of the snow off the top, to a point where then my wife came out and I went inside of it and was able to lift it up, and she was able to scrape the remainder off. So now, as you can see in the video, it is like kind of freestanding. So it's salvageable. Nothing ripped on it. Thank God, none of the plastic ripped. So I'll reinforce it. My dad and I will reinforce it. Use either PVC piping or 2x4s or metal conduit. I don't know, but could be worse. Hey, it's just the things of this life are fleeting, and whatever. It is what it stinks. It's annoying. It's frustrating, but whatever, man. Funny caveat to that, I bought that thing ridiculously cheap. That should be way more money than I paid for it. I paid $150 for it, ridiculously cheap. And then it ripped in a storm. Well, this is why it's kind of annoying. It had ripped in a storm in November. Or maybe even early December. Huge windstorm. I go out there to stake it down, but this is the funny part, is I keep going out there slightly too late. I was like, oh, it's starting to get kind of windy. I should go out there now. It had already blown away and ripped, and so then my dad and I had fixed it with a metal conduit to like a metal bar essentially, because one part had bent, and then we fixed the ripped part. So now for it to collapse, it's like, come on. But because it had ripped, I was able to get a refund, and I kept negotiating back and forth with the company. They offered me $15 at first, and I was like, do you mean like $15 less than what I paid for, or $15. They were like $15. I'm like, what? I was able to get $120 back. So I technically only paid $30 plus the $6 for the conduit, so $36 so far for this thing, which is pretty crazy. And if we reinforce it, even if we spend $50, even if we spend $100, it's still cheaper than what I actually paid for it, and it will be way more reinforced than what they sent me. Always about perspective. And hey, look, in reality, it's time that I gotta spend with my dad, hang out with him, learn things from him on how to build stuff, and who can complain?